Jumbo fellow adventurer, and welcome to my three-part Your Wish is the Universe's Command webinar series. This is the epitome of what I have to offer the world after 60 years on Earth and 21 years as a teacher of metaphysically living deliberately and creating consciously. I'm digging deep to give you the absolute best of what I have, including the hard-earned lessons from my dark night of the soul, which began 21 years ago at the beginning of my career speaking on these things. You teach best what you most need to learn. And boy, did I need to learn a lot. 20 years ago, I was in the midst of liquidating a 10-year-old company that I had started with my mother and brother that had done really well, but the trends were declining. And if we didn't liquidate, we were going to go down with that vessel. I was also on the cusp of turning the big 4-0, which was in enough of itself daunting and overwhelming. Now it's no big deal. That was so long ago. I was a kid, but then it seemed like everything. And perhaps the worst part of what I was going through was discovering one night, which is how these things go, that my girlfriend had a boyfriend, and it wasn't me. I was sick with nausea. I could barely get out of bed in the morning. And each night before I did get into bed, I would get down on my knees and pray to God for guidance and help. Now, ironically, I look back, and of course, things are so much different now. I can hardly believe that was me. But when I talk to divine intelligence these days, it's always to the universe. But back then, at the end of my rope, it was, dear God. And I remember being so frustrated with where my life was. My prayers would sound like this. I have no idea how I created the mess I'm now in. But I know what I want. I want enough wealth and abundance that I don't have to lose my home. I want creative, fulfilling work, but what the hell could that be? I've already done corporate America. I've already done the entrepreneurial thing, and I don't want to go back to either. But I want creative, fulfilling work. I want international travel and friends and laughter. Those were the four things I wanted. And unbeknownst to me at that time, by phrasing my desires generally, without micromanaging details and coming up with a hardcore path that would only exclude divine intelligence from saving my butt later on, I stumbled into something that made me a lightning rod for divine intervention, magic, and miracles. The idea for playing the Matrix, my world tour series that has taken me to every continent 2, 3, and 4 times, that's enabled me to reach about 1 million people with a best-selling book in multiple languages, video courses, online events, live events, all came from the lessons I learned, emerging from what seemed to be an absolute train wreck of my life. Within 1 year of that dark night of my soul, I was sending out notes from the universe, which is maybe how you found me right now. Originally, you learned of my work from Notes from the Universe. They still go out to 1 million people every single day now. It's all grown by word of mouth. Within 2 years of the dark night of my soul, I was selling Infinite Possibilities, The Art of Living Your Dreams, and it was perhaps one of the very best-selling self-improvement audio programs on the internet back in 2001. Within 3 years of the dark night of my soul, I was on my first world tour, speaking in Australia, Asia, South America, Europe. Within 4 years, I was invited to speak and present in The Secret, Rhonda Byrne's DVD and book on the law of attraction. Within 5 years, I had a major book contract. Within 6 years, I was grateful I escaped with my life from the relationship that I thought was the end all be all. Oh my gosh, did I have something to learn? My life has turned into an upward spiral, truly a fairy tale. And to Fast forward a little bit to where I am today. I'm a late blooming husband 10 years ago, late blooming first time dad. Oh my gosh. Truly, my life is a fairy tale. And yet, when I look back at the steps I took, I feel like, what did I do with my mortal flailings, steeped in fear, riddled with self-doubt? You don't even have to believe in yourself to the degree you think you have to believe in yourself. What did I ever do to deserve so much? Fellow adventurers, I am of God, by God, pure God, and so are you. We are now in the winner's circle, in the nature of reality, the time-space continuum. And it's not the Harvard of the universe. It's the kindergarten of the universe. It's easy. You just have to know a few basic tricks, and they're not even tricks. Your thoughts become things. Your words are your thoughts that give you wings. And taking action with baby steps, even though you don't know what road to start out on, will be enough to put you on the road you will arrive upon. It couldn't be easier. I didn't say it's easy. It couldn't be easier to live your life metaphysically, knowing the truth about the nature of reality, compared to blood, sweat, and tears, and jumping through all those hoops that you've been taught you have to jump through. I can't wait to dive into your wish is the universe's command. You're going to see, I got nothing on you. If I can do it, you can do it too. It couldn't be easier. A few points of protocol before we go much further. Today's webinar is the art of performing miracles. And you're going to find out you've been performing them your entire life. There ain't no thing. When you understand how to do it consciously, you become unstoppable. As this series progresses, of course, there's 2 more webinars after this one. I'm going to be looking for your questions down below. Okay, please post anything you want. I love reading the comments. Where are you from? What's the weather like right now? What notes did I strike that made sense? What left you puzzled? Write down your questions. I'm going to do my best to answer as many as possible. And if you stay through this series, which there's no doubt in my mind you will, I'm going to use my magic to pick one person that I will do some one-on-one life coaching with. But you're going to have to sit through, and you're going to want to, I promise you, these 3 webinar installments. Okay? Sound like a plan? Is that fair for you? So just before we get into the art of performing miracles, let me share with you today in this webinar, at the end, I'm going to summarize everything, and I'm going to send you an email with an assignment, an integrative exercise. Really simple, really fun, so that you can see you've always been a natural born miracle worker. And then I'm going to start gearing up for the second installment. And that installment is going to allow me to go deeper, where I actually share with you my matrix, a la playing the matrix, the 3 steps involved with playing the matrix. And I'm going to share with you in the second installment some of the most common manifesting mistakes that I have seen people make in 21 years, that I've made myself, that draws from them their power. We don't want to do that. It is so easy to patch up these areas when you know what they are, so that you can keep that beautiful energy inside and direct it as you wish to the life of your dreams. Again, I'm going to be encouraging you to post below on that video as well, so that in the third webinar, I'm actually going to be answering some of your questions live. And that's when we're going to go through our magic to pick one of you that will be entitled to some one-on-one coaching with yours truly. I can't wait. And 2 of the things I'm going to share with you in the third webinar. First, there's a conundrum that all of us face when we want to create and manifest change. Invariably, by definition of what a dream is, the thing or experience or the people or the confidence you want to manifest is lacking in your life. The pain-free life that you desire is because you're in pain. The awesome romantic relationship that you wish for and envision is because right now you don't have one. The great of rocking career that pays huge dividends, well, you wouldn't be wishing for it if you already had it. I'm going to help you reconcile in each of the 6 key areas. You're going to know them inside and out. In each of these areas, how do you focus on and stay positive about the one thing you want when everything else in your world tells you, not you, not now? Easy. And then your Q&A, again, you're going to get a workshop, a worksheet, an integrative exercise. That's going to be part of every single one of these webinar installments so that you can integrate. So post below questions, comments, observations, temperature in the part of the world that you're watching from, and we're all going to get to know each other pretty well. All right, you ready to go? The art of performing miracles. I cannot think of a better place to begin a conversation on the art of performing miracles, the art of being a deliberate creator, manifesting out of the ether, time, space, and the world around you, than with the very first miracle that we know of in these sacred jungles of time and space. The very first manifestation of time and space, can you guess what that is? It's the physical universe itself. You ever wonder how it all came about? I mean, the infinite vastness, the spectacular beauty, the symbiotic relationships of life on Earth. And then there's this magnificent physical universe. Did you know that there are a minimum 100 million stars in the Milky Way galaxy alone? And that there's about 100 million more galaxies. Scientists estimate at a minimum there are 10 sextillion stars, not to mention planets. Kind of boggles the mind. It ought to. Do you ever wonder how that manifestation, the sun, the moon, and the stars came to be? I used to wonder, pointlessly, I thought, kicking pine cones around my backyard for my dogs. And then one day, as if I was hit by lightning, metaphorically, I got the answer. I got the flipping answer. I know how it all began, that very first manifestation and every manifestation thereafter. And you're about to know too. That afternoon, I hurriedly ran into my house, sat down at my computer, and I wrote this insight in the form of what has become one of my all-time favorite notes from the universe. If you would indulge me, I'm going to read it to you right now. Ain't it grand? Doesn't it boggle your mind? The harmony, the splendor, the beauty, the intricacies, the synchronicities, and the staggering perfection. Do you ever wonder how it all came about? Do you think I studied quarks, atoms, and molecules? That I drew schematics for the sun, the moon, and the stars, the otter, the Gila monster, and the penguin? Do you think I painted every zebra, flower, and butterfly? Or do you think I simply imagined the end result? And that's all you ever have to do. Yeehaw, the universe. P.S. I hated school. Or do you think I simply imagined the end result? the beauty, the vastness, the symbiotic relationships, a stage that seemed to perpetuate itself, that seemed to be reality itself, so that God could eventually show up on that stage and live adventures that could never have been lived any other way. Divine intelligence defined what it wanted in terms of the end result, this magnificent, beautiful, spectacular, vast, perfect space stage. And in that moment, Big Bang. That's where our scientists pick up. Big Bang. I used to kind of think, before I got the answer, that, did divine intelligence start really small and have one planet and then do some math and then realize that the sole inhabitant was floating off into space and think, I need gravity. Oh, and gravity requires space, and I need some physics and some biology, and oh my gosh, and go bigger and bigger and bigger. We live on a timeline, and that's how we interpret reality. Einstein proved it. Time's an illusion. It's relative, different from one person to the next. So is space by extrapolating, and so is matter. It's all different from one person to the next. It's illusionary. So I would think that all these little parts had to come together because I was on a timeline, but reality does not have a timeline. Timelines came later. And so what divine intelligence does is what you do. You think of an end result, and then working backwards from the desired end result, all the math, all the sciences, all the micromanagement, all the factors, all the beliefs, all the fears of 7.5 billion co-creators, all of them are mashed together. And working backwards from your desired, envisioned end result, just as was true for the first manifestation of all creation in the physical universe, working backwards to where we are now, everything was forced, the details was forced. And that way, the thoughts of divine mind became the things and events of the physical universe. And as the note from the universe went on to say, your thoughts of a desired end result, your life in the lap of luxury, your life surrounded by friends and laughter, your life creatively fulfilled, your life with wealth and abundance, it's all spiritual, it's all thought. Your life will be forced into place with that vision, so long as you show up, show up, show up. We'll talk about baby steps in this webinar, but right now we're talking about the spark, the beginning, and all manifestations begin with the end, the desired end result in mind. This is how the sun, the moon, and the stars were put in the night sky. This is how there's mathematics and science that follow the vision. They didn't create the vision. They followed the vision. And this is how the logistics and the serendipities and the happy coincidences and tantalizing accidents that seem like a setback, but oh my gosh, in hindsight, what a setup for you to be living the life of your dreams. I thought my life was a train wreck 21 years ago, but instead of looking for what was wrong with me, I decided that I knew I was of God, by God, pure God. I knew that my thoughts become things. I decided to start working it and figure out later what went wrong in this seeming train wreck of my life. And then when things started blasting off, out of curiosity, I did look back. I was like, what was that all about? And I couldn't find a train wreck in my rearview mirror. With time, there's clarity. And what I could see took my breath away. The train of my life, if you will, stopped so that it could change tracks and go further, faster, better, higher, beyond what it could have done on the track that it was on. To the physical senses, I thought it was all bad. But in reality, it was a setup for better than I had imagined. I used to write little poems about metaphysics on t-shirts and gifts, wishing I could reach more people. That was the beginning of this dream coming true. Now with 17 books, New York Times bestsellers, globe-trotting to audiences that love what I have to share. I mean, can you imagine a better existence? I'm speechless all the time. Whenever I tell the story and I think back, what did I do to deserve so much? I showed up. I had an end result. I had a vision. How do you think Richard Branson did it? One of the most admired entrepreneurs on the face of the earth. He had an end result. He believed it could happen to him. He moved towards wealth and abundance. He saw himself as a mover and a shaker. The end result forced the details. And the next thing you know, that guy's selling records, vinyls, music from a flat in London. Virgin Records emerged, Virgin Atlantic, Virgin Australia, Virgin Galactica. That's Richard Branson's story. You know, a lot of these entrepreneurs, and I admire him so much, they think it was hard work. They think that they were really clever. They think it was this. It was their end result. So the end forced the details. The universe worked backwards. You, with your dreams, your fears, your empowered beliefs, your limiting beliefs, you want to rock the world? I know how to do that. I am divine intelligence. You just get out that door. You just go show up. You just be where you can, doing what you can with what you've got from where you are, and divine intelligence connects those dots. You got to create the dots with baby steps. Prepare to be astounded. Another example, Kamala Harris. This woman, raised almost single-handedly by her mother, was a freshman in college, and she and her best friend said that they were two girls who were going, quote unquote, to save the world. Now, I don't want to take this into politics. I'm just using this as an example to show how an end result will pave its own road. Okay, she got into law, she got into a law firm, she got into politics, and she's the first female vice president of the United States of America. The universe provides the right people, the right time, the right everything for you to have and what you want. Sports, Tom Brady. That guy's pretty amazing. Muhammad Ali, if you're a sports chaser, male or female, you think of your favorite sports athlete, how did they do it? Do not believe that it was long hours practicing. They all practice long hours. Every pro practice long hours. And the one who's number one, the ones who rise to the top, I am sure are not always the ones who put in the most hours on the field or on the court or wherever it was. It was their end result. They saw themselves as the greatest. I am the greatest, Muhammad Ali said. I can do this. I've got it. I love life. I love myself, or whatever filled in the tapestry of their idea that they could rock the world athletically. And so the universe is like, I can do that. I can do that. No one has done anything great without being aided and guided by divine intelligence. Okay, and it's not just celebrities, but let me talk about one more, J.K. Rowling. I love this example because it's not just physical prowess or being in the right place at the right time that the universe can do for us. But J.K. Rowling, what do you think her end result was when, as a working, if you will, single mom sitting in cafes, wrote the Harry Potter series? She saw herself as a published author. She saw herself spinning yarns that would enthrall. She saw an end result where she was sweeping the globe. That end result, followed up with the baby steps of write the book, then got the universe unleashed and the right ideas, the right creativity, the right plot line that could live up to her vision of the end result were forced and delivered on a silver platter. And she just picked them off because she showed up. And then it was publishers, then it was agents, then it was movie theaters, then it was readers, then it was viewers that all came marching to the beat of her drum, the drum of her end results. There is no one who's done anything ever on time and space who didn't begin with a dream, an end result, even if they believed it half-heartedly, even if they were riddled in self-doubt, as my story has evidenced to me, even if they thought it might not even happen. Who am I? Everybody wants money. Everybody wants success. Everybody wants international travel. Everybody wants to marry a perfect person. Everybody wants to have a family. Who am I? Who am I? We've learned to sing that stupid, silly song since we were born. We were told to be grateful for what we had, as if there was a shortage in a holographic universe We don't live in a world where there's a finite number of anything. You getting yours doesn't come from somebody else. It comes from divine intelligence. And the way you get it is you have end results that paint a crystal clear picture that ramps you up emotionally. Then you show up and divine intelligence fills the sails of your vessel and takes you to any port of call you dream of. You just had to hoist the sail after telling the system your end result. Our job is always, always, always the easy part. Divine intelligence does the heavy lifting. End result, show up with baby steps. Destination, hoist your sails. The universe does everything else. Let me give you my favorite analogy for understanding the miraculous mechanics of manifestation. And you're going to be able to look back in your life. It's part of our integrative exercise and see examples of how you've done this before. And then you're going to be emboldened like never before, realizing that your earlier successes wasn't because of the whims of God. It wasn't because your higher self approved of it. It wasn't because of your hard work. Yes, you had to show up and you did what you were called to do. You're going to see your earlier successes was you orchestrating miracles with wisely defined end results, followed up with baby steps. This analogy or metaphor is my GPS analogy that was given to me by divine intelligence when I was looking for a prop and a tool to help people understand the miraculous mechanics of manifestation. And I was like, oh my God, it's exactly like GPS navigation. I've been telling the story and the analogy of GPS navigation so long now that I used to have to preface every such talk with audiences with an explanation of what GPS navigation was, because it's not been around all that long, right? And until people got their own cell phones or high-end cars that had it built into the dashboard, they didn't know what GPS navigation was. In my fairy tale life, I had a car with GPS navigation early on, and it was like, it's freaking crazy. The parallels between GPS navigation and the miraculous mechanics of manifestation, performing miracles, the art thereof, with what you have to do to unleash the magic. What's step one? Taking your car, let's just say you're doing GPS navigation in your car, maybe it's on your smartphone or whatever. What is step one when you want to go somewhere you've never been to before in your entire life? Isn't that a perfect metaphor for a dream coming true? You probably wouldn't want it unless it's never come true before, right? So going somewhere in your car that you've never been to before is like taking your life, your being, your essence to a realm, to being surrounded by props and love and friends that you've never experienced before. Same. Step one, you give your GPS gizmo your desired destination, otherwise known as your end results. You don't tell it how you're going to get there because you don't know how you're going to get there. You don't have to know how you're going to get there. You got this doohickey. Same thing with the miraculous mechanics, the art of performing miracles. If you know where you want to go, you're almost there. In your car, you tell it the end result, and the system through digital GPS satellite signals already knows where you are. Like the universe already knows where you are, right? It's so easy. You just tell it where you want to go. Oh, that's so fun. But you're not there. You're not there. You tell it the end result, and you're in the same darn spot where you will remain until your car rusts beneath you, until you do step two, which is even easier. Step two, beyond blasting some really cool music, beyond seatbelt, the most obvious thing, beyond ignition, because none of that takes you anywhere. Step two, after programming the destination, is you put your car in gear and go. Put your car in gear and go. Instantly, guidance is forthcoming. Proceed for a half a mile on Cypress Isle Court. Make a left at the intersection. Turn right on I-4, blah, 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 blah. You stop, the car goes silent. You remain in park. Oh, it doesn't. It knows how to get there. The universe knows how your dream will come true, but you are contradicting yourself mightily in your car if you tell it, I want to go to Disney World, but you keep your car in park. And if you tell the universe, I want to go to a land of good and plenty, friends and laughter, health and healing, and then you just wait, you'll only ever just wait. It won't matter if there's a vision board in the back seat of your car, will it? It won't matter if you're listening to Mike Dooley on the radio, will it? It won't matter if there's a gratitude rock in your pocket. You ain't going until you put your car in gear. And the same is true in life. You can't think there's going to be change because you're excited about the truth. I mean, I know how exciting it is. You can see me right now. The excitement won't get you there. The good news is you just need a little shove. You don't have to figure anything out. You'll never have to figure out how to get there. That's what the system is for. You just need to roll. And instantly guidance is forthcoming. You come to a stop, it stops. You start rolling, you roll. It rolls for you. Here's the weird thing, and you know this is true. If you knew how to get there, you wouldn't need the system, right? If you knew where to start, you wouldn't need the system. You don't know where to start. So you got the system. And now the system is telling you, start. And you're like, but I don't know how to get there. Too many people never start. They don't know that part. Engage, physical. They think they have to start out on the right road and there's going to be inspired action and divine intelligence and it'll suddenly be made clear and the yellow brick road will show up. It doesn't. Yellow brick road ain't coming. No matter what road you start out on, it's going to be the wrong road, but it will lead you to the right road. Okay? When in life's journey do you start out on a path, start out on A1A and just, arrive and it's on A1A? No. There's going to be a detour. There's going to be construction. There's going to be a setback. There's going to be merging and toing and froing and a stop at a rest area. We all have to just start. It doesn't matter what you start. It doesn't matter what road you choose. Don't think, if I spend 5 years going down that road and it's wrong, I got to come 5 years back and then figure out the right road. It's like, no, once you get going, recalc, the new shortest, quickest, fastest path is considered. You can even go on the wrong road and be like, okay, make a legal U-turn. Guidance is forthcoming. As soon as you are going in a less than ideal path, the whole system is going to start sending you signals. How do you know? You're going to know. You're going to be like, of course, I keep showing up. It just feels right. I'm going to listen to my heart. I'm going to follow my mind. I'm going to use a little bit of logic. Don't use too much logic. It's overrated, but you can use a little bit of logic. What are your friends doing? What else can you consider? What new questions can you ask? Follow your heart, prepare to be astounded. It's so easy. Now, here's one more thing in GPS navigation. Actually, two more that is so critical that you get. Understand that during this journey, invariably, the miracles of progress are invisible. They're invisible till long after you arrive. Okay, and then you can look back. Oh my gosh, if I didn't turn left and I didn't go right and I didn't stop and I didn't chat up that person who gave me a new idea, when you arrive or sometimes long after, that's when the miracles are crystal clear. But when they're happening and you got bumped into a left-hand turn lane and you had to go right over here and you didn't want to go right, and then there was that ridiculous detour around Alligator Alley, and you're like, you were exasperated. You thought this was a sign that you didn't believe in yourself. You thought, my fear has derailed me. And you started just because you can't see the miracles. Write this down. Just because you can't see the miracles doesn't mean they're not happening. They are. You're caked in them. Your life is one nonstop march through miracle land. It's all miracles. Everything is playing to your greater good. Let that be your mantra. It's working. Can't see a damn thing, but it's working. Every day it gets easier. Every day I get closer. It's working. It never fails. No matter what your peepers show you, they're not designed to see the miracles. They're designed to handle and make decisions based on the immediacy of what you've manifested heretofore. And if you want change, you don't try to wrangle it or logically do the whole thing in your mind, micromanaging. You go and create a new picture with this most powerful instrument of all. Create a new end result, a refined end result, an upgraded end result. As you learn on your journey, refine, tweak, enhance, improve, refine, tweak, enhance, improve. And the universe will just like, oh, recalc, oh, we're already halfway there. We recalc. You're a miracle worker. You're a natural born creator. You're a black belt, PhD, Kung Fu master. You've been doing it your whole life. You and I and all of us, we're streaming manifestors. Okay, we're creating it. Wherever we look, that's where we shine the flashlight, if you will, the laser beam of our creativity. It's like, oh, now I'm creating woods, and now I'm creating whatever else you might be looking at out of the window. This is your power, and it's time to tap into it, and it's time to understand it like you've never understood it before. So understand that beyond the end result, GPS navigation, defining what you want in terms of the end, and car and gear, just keep going. I know it looks weird, just keep going. You know, you can have a timeout and all of that. There's so much leeway and wiggle room. You can even self-doubt. You're going to get there. Understand that the miracles of progress are invisible until, or sometimes long after, you arrive. And number 4, here's a doozy. It's the kingpin of my teaching. The linchpin is the right word of playing the matrix, of which I will dive into much more in the second webinar. Ideally, for reasons that will become crystal clear, even though at first glance, you're going to be like, what? Ideally, our end results ought to be generally and emotionally stated with broad brushstrokes, joy and laughter, friends and camaraderie, creative, fulfilling work. Wealth and abundance works. That doesn't all have you're a creator. You're of the divine. You can go there if you want. Certainly was on my list. Wealth and abundance. Wealth and abundance. Broad brushstrokes. Why? To give divine intelligence, the brilliance that hung the stars in the night sky, total latitude and infinite leeway, putting the right touches, the right details, the right pathways, the right players, partners, publishers, agents on your path at the right time. As opposed to, so often, we end up as micro manifestors, micromanagers. We try to make this happen, that happen, make this book get published, make Rocky fall in love with me. I want a hot date on this Saturday. We've been taught to do that, not realizing that the more attached you are to your micromanagement, the more you exclude divine intelligence from reaching you. It knows hundreds of ways for you to be connected to the right person. It knows billions of possible right people. It knows thousands of ways that you could live a life in wealth and abundance. It knows how you can heal. It knows how to recover. It knows how to take care of all of the bells and whistles. But when you say it's got to be this way and that way and this time frame and that deadline, you tie the hands of divine intelligence. Now you can visualize these details. This is the course of playing the matrix. I talk about a lot, and I will share with you in the second webinar how to get into the details, because they're awesome and they ramp up emotion. They're sexy. The details are awesome. But how to get into the details without attaching to them. It's easy. And then I teach how to take action, but not mess with the cursed hows, meaning don't worry about how your dream's going to come true. If you're messing with the hows and messing with the details and trying to get a certain person to fall in love with you at a certain time frame, you will soon careen into what I call the Bermuda's Triangle of manifestation. This is not a place you ever want to find yourself, because there, some dreams never come true. And there, other dreams come true, but with a really high cost. You didn't want to watch this series for maybe my dream will come true. You didn't want to watch this series so that you could walk into a minefield of your life where, oh, bang, got my manifestation, but I lost my best friend. Dang, I got my dream car, but now I'm deep in debt. I can help you effortlessly avoid the Bermuda Triangle of manifestation. And that's what Playing the Matrix is all about. And a lot of that is going to come up in the second webinar and in the third webinar. But for now, let me leave you with this. I know it's weird. I know it seems odd, but ideally, your destinations, unlike GPS car destination, where it's super specific, one address on planet Earth, when it comes to living the life of your dreams, let those dreams be broad brush and emotionally charged, especially broad brushed. If they're not emotionally charged at first, like wealth and abundance, well, we're going to dress those up with details so that we can feel the excitement. Okay. We'll attach to wealth and abundance. We will not attach to the details. If this is new on you, and it probably is, nobody I know teaches this stuff, you're going to have to rewind that video and watch it a little more. And then look forward to the second and the third installment of the webinar, because it's child's play. It's really easy. I have delivered this material directly or indirectly, as I shared, to over 1 million people. There's not one of them who nodded in my presence and said, yeah, have generally stated end results. No, they nodded like this, horizontally. Not one person I have ever met has disagreed with the premise once they've fully heard me out. And best of all, this approach, playing the matrix for your wish to be the universe's command, means you can still do creative visualization, vision boards, affirmations, work with your beliefs, install new ones. All the stuff you've ever learned, you can still use with the slightest of tweaks, and you're unstoppable. I guarantee this is going to be the most exciting course and good news you have ever heard or read or received in a self-improvement living deliberately webinar. Okay? It just works. And when you hear truth, as you've been hearing truth already, in what I've already shared, it starts resonating, right? You start getting like, I know. And we're not going to stop that. We're in for some good stuff. Let me tell you a couple other things that have helped me really sink my knowledge and my confidence in how this works, in spite of, at times, my own self-doubts. When I have a big dream, particularly in the older days, they didn't stop me. I've come to understand that just because we live in a non-judgmental universe, okay, I know that's a big one to get your head around, but look, divine intelligence loves one and all. And if people do bad stuff, and they do, it's because they're terrified and they're lost and they're confused. The universe doesn't judge, the universe rehabilitates. That's a tangent we're not going to go on right now, but too often, I am aware that because we're so excited and we never forget that day we learned that we don't live in a world with an angry God, that we're loved and adored and deeply understood, we connected this dot. It's non-judgmental. And what does non-judgmental mean? It typically means to most people it's fair. And what does fair mean? It means an equal shot. At up or down, left or right. If there's a good, there's a bad, 50-50. Isn't that what fair means? Doesn't fair extend from non-judgmental? I'm going to share with you one of the most impactful epiphanies of my entire life. In a nutshell, just because we live in a non-judgmental universe does not mean we live in a neutral universe. We live in a non-neutral universe. What does that mean? If we lived in a neutral universe, that would mean, hey, you think good thoughts, you get a good life. Hey, you think bad thoughts, you get a bad life. Hey, you think blue, you get blue. You think green, you get green. Hey, whatever you put out comes back. It's all the same. A thought's a thought's a thought. And that is not true. Let me get you there. You're an eternal being. You're a gladiator of joy. You existed prior to these illusions, and you will exist eternally beyond these illusions. I think that you found me. You're already there, okay? This is not new on you. So You are like this tidal wave of magnificence, of love and joy careening through creation. You're a God particle, fully fledged. And here you are, come to time and space, the jungles thereof. Whereas lions and tigers and bears, oh my, but talk about adventure. Talk about adventure. You're going to be safe in the palm of God's hand. You're going to be loved. You're going to fall in love. You're going to be here and you're going to want to go there. You're going to have not and you're going to want to have. You're going to believe in these illusions and they're going to light you on fire with passion and desire. And you're going to go and vini, vidi, vici. You're going to have it all. I came, I saw, I conquered. A little bit of Latin there, right? Or Greek or whatever. Vini, vidi, vici. That's the nature of reality. Given your divine lineage, which I know you forgot, and that's part and parcel of the plunge into time and space. That doesn't mean it's not true. Okay, so given your divine lineage, here you are, born to succeed, default settings through the roof, gladiator of love and joy. When you choose thoughts in alignment with truth, let's call them positive thoughts because that's the nomenclature and you know what I mean. Although positive is a judgment and I don't want to kind of go on that. I don't want to mislead you there. So generally, what we think of as positive thoughts are thoughts in alignment with truth. I'd like to be happy. I'd like to be loved. I'd like to fall in love. I want to do good. I want to change the world. I want to be of service. I want to live in wealth and abundance. I want to shine my light bright so that it lights the darkened paths of others. We don't want to gain at the expense of others. We want to gain and enrich others. We're all that way because of our divine lineage. So when you think these positive thoughts that are in alignment with truth, boom, 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 those thoughts become things really easy. When, on the other hand, comparatively easy, okay, hear me out. When, on the other hand, you think, I'm a dodo, it probably won't work, it never works for me, I don't like myself, I don't like life, God's angry, people are jerks. Those kind of thoughts are really hard to bring into your existence. They're hard to manifest because they're not in alignment with truth. Forget the judgmental label of being negative, although I know what you mean, and yes, they are negative, but simply they're not in alignment with truth. Thoughts not in alignment with truth are very hard to become things, to become the things and events of your life. Can they? Oh, you can do it, but it's not easy. Just like they taught you long ago that it takes fewer muscles to smile than to frown. So is it easier to manifest good stuff than bad. And if you think I'm kidding you, if you think this is pie in the sky, look at your life. Have you not smiled 10,000 times more than you frowned? Laughed 10,000 times more than you've cried? Had friends 10,000 times more than you've not had a soul to call on planet Earth? I don't think that day has ever happened, right? I mean, you're just killing it. You've always had somebody to call. Where's the 50-50 in smiling, laughing, and having somebody to call? You've killed it. That's interesting. Even though you worry a lot, even though you're negative a lot. Me too. I still crushed it. I know the difference. I know this to be true, and you become unstoppable. Let's not stop there. How about this? You're 10,000 times clearer than you are confused. In fact, when it comes to money, you have had money 10,000 times more than you've been at zero or in the red, right? I mean, if life was fair and it was 50-50, half your life you'd have money, half your life you wouldn't. You've had money your whole dang life, pretty much. And then there's systems to reset and start over, and there's room. Opportunity never stops knocking. And health. Have you not had health 10,000 times more than you've had sickness? Even in sickness, you're healthy. You rebound, you recover. Isn't it not evident when you stop and smell the coffee how inclined you are to succeed? And when you realize this, the light goes on and you discover it's because you live in a non-neutral universe. And if I could quantify it, I would tell you this. Your positive thoughts are at least, at a minimum, 10,000 times more powerful than your negative thoughts. 10,000 times. So if you worry, you're like me. Don't worry that you worry. You got this. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be a goody two-shoes. You don't have to earn it. You already deserve it. You're living your life in the winner's circle of reality right now. You're being pushed on to greatness no matter where you've been, no matter where you are. Where you are is not who you are. You got this. You just didn't know how inevitable your success was. Nobody does. We're living in the Stone Age, spiritually speaking, right now, right? Caveman, cavewoman, God is angry, people are bad. Life's a big test. Oh man, no wonder life has seemed like a big test at times. Now, there's still going to be challenges and tests and seeming setbacks, but you're going to see them in a new light and realize that all setbacks are set-ups for greatness. Your entire life is proof of your inclination to thrive. Positive thoughts, at least 10,000 times more powerful than your so-called negative thoughts. You got this. We're just tweaking the machinery. That's what this free webinar series is all about. The other major epiphany I've gleaned from the past 21 years, particularly when the logistics were blowing my mind early on, and it was just like this parade of unending good news, which actually still continues to this very day. This is what you have to look forward to if you're not there already. Was this realization that sometimes knocking on one door, and I know how hard that is. You got big dreams, you got big debts, you got things going on, you want to break. And in the beginning, it just seems like, oh, am I doing this right? But you got to show up. And I call it knocking on doors, turning over stones, taking the baby steps. I have found sometimes you're knocking on one door. And hopefully many doors as well. Don't just knock on one. Persistence is not just knocking on one door until the dang thing opens. It's knocking on all the doors. But back on point, you're knocking on this one door. It's better than doing nothing. It's always better to do something than to do nothing. And it's just not that appealing, but it's better than your other options. And you know what? It never frickin' does open. But you realize that this door did open, and you didn't even knock on this door. You realize that because you were knocking on this door, and what it did for your own psyche, what it did for expectation, your own sense of anticipation, what it did as far as installing empowering beliefs that I am on my way and I'm doing it this time because I know my positive thoughts are 10,000 times more powerful than my negative. That building up demonstrated by a knock on a door that was perhaps among the least sucky. Sometimes I talk about, just go down the least sucky path, better than waiting for the yellow brick road. The least sucky door, and it didn't even open. But because you knocked on it, this one did. And this one, oh my God, it's cool, it's sexy, it's abundant, it's mind-boggling. Nobody's even going to believe me when I tell them. The lesson is summarized like this. Sometimes knocking on one door that you didn't even want to knock on, that didn't even open, forces another one to open that never would have opened if you hadn't knocked on this one. There is a magic to baby steps that's unleashed by baby steps. Now, don't think baby steps are complicated and now there's some magic formula. No, any stinking baby step. Dream, show up. Dream, get out of the house. Show up. Do it on the internet if you've got social distancing to worry about. Just show up. That's it. Then the magic is unleashed. Then the unexpected happens. Then when I thought I was going to get fired at Price Waterhouse, I'm a recovering CPA from long, long ago. I imagined myself being happy at work. I stumbled into that general end result. As you will see in the integrative exercise, I'll soon be emailing you. I just wanted to be happy. I didn't say, make me a good auditor. I didn't say, save my butt. I didn't say, get me out of this firm. I just said, I want to be happy at work. And because I had that dream and I did the best I could with what I had, showing up early, staying late, saying yes, I was invited into the tax department from the audit department and my career blasted off. When I asked somebody 20 years ago how I might become a professional speaker, which is a door I didn't want to knock on because it terrified me, made me nauseous. They called me back 3 days later and said, I'll help you with the speaking angle later on, but you have a database, I have a database. Let's do an audio program together as a joint venture. I was like, you would do that with me, given where my life was? And it became one of the best-selling self-improvement audio programs on the internet. Later, it became a New York Times bestseller. Because I asked this guy to help me be a speaker, he invites me to do a project that changed my life. I could tell you story after story after story of the virtue of taking action and baby steps, even when they're down sucky paths or the least sucky path, knocking on the least sucky door. Because you had a dream that was big and large and emotionally charged. We'll talk about that in the second webinar. The magic is being pressed. The universe is like, I know how to do that. I know how to do that. Just put your car in gear so that I can reach you. And then you show up. And remember, sometimes the thing that shows up doesn't feel like a miracle. When I was told I was being transferred into the tax department, I was like, that's it. I'm done. When this guy said, let's do an audio program, I'm like, what the hell do I know about audio programs? I thought I wanted to speak. Well, I didn't, but it would get me out the door and bring some money in. I mean, when the miracles show up, sometimes they look like the last thing you want to see. You can't see the miracles until after the big dream comes true. Remember that. The magic of taking miracles is emboldened and encapsulated above all in this lesson. Sometimes knocking on a door you didn't want to knock on forces another door open that you didn't know existed, that never would have opened, that's super crazy sexy, but it appeared because you knocked on the other one. Fellow adventurers, I hope you enjoyed this time as much as I did. Obviously, it excites me. There's so much to be excited about. We are loved and adored. You are loved and adored. It is never too late. Where you are is not who you are. The best is yet to come. I want you to keep your eyes peeled. You're getting an email from me through Hay House that's going to give you an integrative exercise and retell that story I just shared with you at Price Waterhouse when I thought I was going to get fired. And it's going to help you, this exercise, realize that you are ready to perform miracles. I also want to encourage you to write comments, questions, and the weather forecast down below. The interaction is fun. We're in this together. There are so many of you. I am so deeply honored. I read these questions. I can't wait to answer the ones that I get to and to see and feel the pulse and the vibration. What resonated with you in this webinar? Please share down below. What questions do you have? Write those down below too. Still got 2 more. Be a participant in all 3, and you will be eligible for being that one person who gets to have a one-on-one session, coaching session with yours truly. I can't wait to do that. We're going to talk more about playing the matrix. I'm going to tell you how to avoid the hit and miss heartbreaks. You know what I'm talking about? You're a good manifester, right? Sometimes it works. Sometimes nothing happens. And then other times it worked, but in hindsight, you wished it hadn't. Hit, miss, hit, miss. Here comes the most outlandish statement of all. I'm going to help you through this series, guaranteed, to get to a place where you are a 100% hitter, that everything you pursue comes to pass. And there's no more, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. No. That's got to sound impossible. But just like the matrix and having wisely framed end results is so pivotal, and you're going to understand it, so too will you understand how you can move to 100% success as a conscious, deliberate manifester. Fellow adventurers, in the next webinar, we're going to talk about how you can discover what you really want. Something that should be easy, but too often isn't, because we've messed with the hows and the shoulds. I know what you want. And you're going to be nodding your head when I tell you what it is you want. And there's going to be a lot of room for you to colorize it and dress it up in ways that are unique to you. I can't wait for the second installment. I hope you feel the same. Thanks for riding this seminar out with me today, and I'll see you really soon.